What if I told you that some of the most powerful infection fighters on the planet aren't sitting in a pharmacy waiting to be prescribed, but growing wild right now in the Caribbean, in backyards, along roadsides, in rainforests that people walk past every single day without a second thought? Before we get into it, I want to ask you something right now. Drop your country in the comments below. I want to know where in the world you're watching from. Whether you're in Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, Barbados, Guadeloupe, the Dominican Republic, or somewhere else entirely, some of these plants are probably already in your neighborhood. And if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone you love, because what we're about to cover could genuinely change the way they think about healing. Okay, let's get into it. Here are 25 Caribbean plants that heal infections better than antibiotics, ranked from remarkable to absolutely extraordinary. Number 1. Soursop, the infection destroyer hiding in plain sight. Soursop, Annona muricata, also called guanabana, is one of the most beloved fruits in the entire Caribbean. People eat it for the taste, they drink it as juice, they give it to children, and most of them have no idea they're consuming a plant whose leaf extract has been clinically shown to target the cell membranes of both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. Published research demonstrates that soursop leaf extracts show significant antimicrobial activity against Streptococcus, Candida, and a range of oral pathogens. The traditional preparation is simple. Boil a handful of soursop leaves in water for 20 minutes and drink as a tea. Across the Caribbean, this has been used for infections, fever, and digestive inflammation for generations. Modern science is now confirming what those grandmothers already knew. Number 2. Noni, the pain and infection double threat. Moringa citrifolia, called noni or painkiller bush across the region, has been used medicinally for over 2,000 years across Polynesia and the Caribbean, and here's what makes it extraordinary. Studies confirm that noni contains anthraquinone compounds, specifically damnacanthol and alizarin, that inhibit the growth of bacteria including Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, and even Mycobacterium tuberculosis strains. That's not folklore. That's published biochemical research. Traditional use involves drinking the fermented fruit juice or applying the leaves topically to infected wounds. This plant is so available, so common, and so thoroughly ignored by people who walk past it daily, it might be the most underestimated medicine in the tropics. Number 3. Fever grass, the everyday healer. Lemongrass, Cymbopogon citratus, called fever grass across the Caribbean, is the first thing every island grandmother reaches for when someone in the family gets sick. And she is not wrong. Research confirms lemongrass essential oil has genuine antibacterial and antifungal properties, particularly against Candida species and common respiratory pathogens. The citral compounds in lemongrass disrupt bacterial cell walls. Boil the fresh grass as a tea, drink it hot, and you're getting what laboratory studies confirm is real antimicrobial medicine. It's so widespread, so cheap, so available, and yet most people still reach for a pharmaceutical drug first instead of the tea that's been working for centuries. Number 4. Guava leaf, the forgotten antibiotic. The guava tree, Psidium guajava, feeds half the Caribbean. The fruit is everywhere, but the leaves are the medicine, and most people throw them away. Guava leaf extracts have been studied for antimicrobial activity against Staphylococcus aureus and E. coli, with results showing significant growth inhibition. The tannins and flavonoids in guava leaves disrupt bacterial membranes and reduce inflammation simultaneously. Traditional use involves boiling fresh leaves for tea to treat diarrhea and gut infections, or applying the cooled tea topically to wounds and skin infections. This is a plant that grows on every island. The medicine is literally in the tree that's already in your yard. Number 5. Neem, the total infection fighter. Neem, a Zadiracta indica, is called Indian lilac across the West Indies, but it belongs to the Caribbean now too. Studies confirm neem has broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity against bacteria, fungi, and viruses. The compounds azadirachtin and nimbidin are the key players, disrupting bacterial cell function and reducing inflammation at the same time. Neem tea is consumed throughout the Caribbean for fever, intestinal infections, and as a general antimicrobial tonic. The leaves can also be prepared as a wash for infected skin. This is a plant so powerful that dentistry is now researching it as an endodontic irrigant, meaning a clinical rinse used inside root canals to disinfect them. Think about that the next time you walk past a neem tree. Number 6. Cerasee, the detox bush that cleans infection from the inside. Cerasee, Momordica carantia, also called bitter melon or bitter gourd, is one of the most iconic bush teas in the Caribbean. Native to Africa and now naturalized across the islands, cerasee is packed with vitamins A and C, phosphorus, and iron, but its power goes beyond nutrition. Research shows cerasee extracts have genuine antibacterial and antifungal properties. Traditionally, it's used as a cleansing tea to fight fevers, skin infections, and internal parasites. The bitterness is the point. That bitterness signals the presence of alkaloids and terpenoids that make this plant a genuine infection fighter. Your grandparents who forced you to drink cerasee tea when you were sick were practicing evidence-based medicine. They just didn't have a laboratory to prove it at the time. Number 7. Bay rum leaf, the wound-healing powerhouse. Bay leaf, Pimenta racemosa, is perhaps most famous for its aromatic oil used in bay rum cologne, but the medicinal tradition runs much deeper. Bay rum leaf contains eugenol and myrcene, aromatic compounds with documented antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. The leaves are traditionally boiled and used as steam inhalation for respiratory infections and as a topical wash for infected wounds and skin conditions. The essential oil has antifungal properties relevant to skin infections that standard antifungal creams are increasingly struggling to handle. This is the plant that made the Caribbean smell like healing long before it made it smell like cologne. Number 8. Moringa, the immune-building infection shield. Moringa oleifera, the miracle tree, produces leaves packed with vitamins, minerals, and compounds called isothiocyanates with proven antimicrobial effects. Research shows moringa leaf extracts inhibit the growth of various bacteria and fungi. But moringa's real power against infection is systemic. By flooding the body with concentrated nutrition, it builds the immune system so powerfully that infections struggle to take hold in the first place. Dried moringa powder blended into food or tea daily is one of the most effective nutritional strategies for maintaining resistance to infection. The Caribbean grows it everywhere, and most people are still thinking of it as just a tree. Number 9. Turmeric, the golden infection fighter from the islands. Turmeric, curcuma longa, is grown throughout the Caribbean and used constantly in cooking, but the curcumin in turmeric is one of the most studied anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial compounds in natural medicine. Research confirms curcumin disrupts bacterial cell membranes and has potent antifungal properties. Fresh grated turmeric mixed with black pepper, which dramatically increases curcumin absorption, taken as a tea or in food, is traditional medicine that laboratory science has validated repeatedly. The golden color isn't decoration, it's the signature of one of nature's most powerful healers. Number 10. Ginger, the ancient fire that kills bacteria. Ginger, Zingiber officinale, grows abundantly across the Caribbean and is used in everything from cooking to medicine. Gingerols and shogaols, the active compounds in ginger, have proven antibacterial and antiviral effects. Research confirms ginger extracts inhibit bacteria associated with respiratory infections and gastrointestinal illness. A strong ginger tea at the first sign of infection is Caribbean tradition backed by modern evidence. Raw ginger grated into hot water, steeped with lemon and honey, is one of the most complete natural infection-fighting preparations you can make in under 5 minutes. Number 11. Syzygium jambos, the rose apple with research behind it. The rose apple tree, Syzygium jambos, is found across the Caribbean, often planted as an ornamental. But the TRAMIL research program, which specifically studies Caribbean medicinal plants, found that decoctions of Syzygium jambos showed more than 20% growth inhibition against several bacterial strains, including Staphylococcus aureus and Proteus vulgaris. This plant has genuine, peer-reviewed Caribbean-specific antimicrobial validation. Traditional use includes boiling the leaves for skin infections and applying topically. Most people in the Caribbean walk past this tree without knowing it has clinical research behind its healing uses. Number 12. Canela, the Caribbean cinnamon with antimicrobial muscle. Canela winterana, the wild cinnamon of the Caribbean, produces an essential oil compound called canelal. Research from the Caribbean island of Guadeloupe found that cannellol showed antimicrobacterial activity against Mycobacterium tuberculosis strains in laboratory testing. Wild cinnamon bark tea has been used across the Caribbean for respiratory infections and digestive complaints for centuries. The aromatic compounds that make it smell incredible are the same compounds doing the antimicrobial work at the molecular level. Number 13. Annatto, the red warrior inside the spice. Bixa orellana, called annatto or ruku, is used across the Caribbean primarily as a food coloring and spice, but clinical research studying plants used in Colombian and Caribbean folk medicine found that Bixa orellana extracts had some of the lowest minimum inhibitory concentrations against bacterial strains tested, meaning it required very little of the extract to stop bacterial growth. The leaves have been used traditionally for fever and infections, and the antimicrobial evidence supports that use. The same red that colors your rice and stews is actually fighting bacteria inside your food as it does it. Number 14. Black sage, the bush medicine with surprising credentials. Cordia curasavica, known as black sage across the English-speaking Caribbean, is used extensively in traditional medicine for respiratory infections, coughs, and skin conditions. Ethnopharmacological surveys conducted through the TRAMIL program, the most rigorous Caribbean plant medicine research framework in existence, have documented black sage as one of the most frequently cited medicinal plants in the region. The fact that TRAMIL selected it for scientific validation tells you everything about how seriously this plant is taken by researchers who study Caribbean health practices. Traditional preparation involves boiling the leaves and drinking the tea for chest infections and coughs. The aromatic compounds released in steam also have benefit for respiratory congestion. Number 15. Periwinkle, the infection fighter that became a cancer drug. Catharanthus roseus, the Madagascar periwinkle, is grown throughout the Caribbean and has been used in traditional medicine for treating skin infections, diabetes, and high blood pressure. Here's what makes it historic. Two of its alkaloids, vincristine and vinblastine, were developed into chemotherapy drugs. This is a Caribbean plant that literally changed modern medicine. The antimicrobial properties of periwinkle extracts have also been documented, and its traditional use for wound healing and infection management is backed by its rich alkaloid content. The little pink or white flower growing in Caribbean gardens and along roadsides is one of the most pharmaceutically significant plants ever discovered. Number 16. Papaya leaf, the enzyme that attacks infections. Papaya, Carica papaya, is everywhere in the Caribbean. Everyone eats the fruit, but the leaves contain papain and other proteolytic enzymes with documented antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects. Research shows papaya leaf extract has activity against bacteria and fungi, and the traditional use of papaya leaf tea for dengue fever is so well documented that it's being studied in formal clinical trials. Papaya leaf tea also stimulates platelet production and supports immune function. The leaf of the fruit tree everyone loves is doing medical work that most people have never once thought about. Number 17. Strong back, the Jamaican strength and infection herb. Desmodium incanum, called strong back in Jamaica, is used throughout the English-speaking Caribbean for everything from back pain to infections. The plant contains flavonoids and alkaloids with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. Traditional use involves boiling the herb into a strong tea taken for infections, fatigue, and inflammation. This is a plant that appears consistently in ethnobotanical surveys of Caribbean traditional medicine, meaning it's not an isolated practice. Healers across multiple islands and generations have independently identified this plant as medicinal. That kind of consistent cross-cultural validation is one of the strongest signals a plant is genuinely doing something. Number 18. Wonder of the world, the succulent healer. Kalanchoe pinnata, called Wonder of the World or Leaf of Life, is one of the most iconic bush medicine plants in the Caribbean. The thick waxy leaves are literally pressed against the forehead for fever or applied directly to wounds and infections. Research confirms kalanchoe pinnata has antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and wound-healing properties. The bifadienolide compounds in the leaves are being studied for broad biological activity. The traditional method is as simple as it gets. You peel the skin off a fresh leaf and apply the moist inner surface directly to the infected area. No preparation required. The plant does the work right there. Number 19. Jack in the bush, the wound cleaner. Eupatorium odoratum, called Jack in the Bush across the Caribbean, has been used for generations to stop bleeding and prevent wound infection. Modern research confirms it has genuine hemostatic properties that stop bleeding and antimicrobial properties that prevent the infection that follows. You crush the fresh leaves and apply directly to cuts, scrapes, and wounds. It's the first aid kit that grows along every roadside in the tropics, and most people step over it without recognizing what it is. Number 20. Christmas bush, the fever and infection herb. Cromolena odorata, known as Christmas bush, is widely used across the Caribbean for fevers and infections. The leaves contain alkaloids, flavonoids, and essential oils with documented antimicrobial activity. Traditional use involves boiling the leaves for tea consumed during fever and applying the cooled liquid topically for infected skin. This is another plant that appears consistently in Caribbean ethnobotanical surveys as one of the most trusted traditional medicines for infection management. Number 21. Clove basil, the antiseptic herb growing in Caribbean gardens. Alchemum gratissimum, clove basil or fever plant, is a common garden herb across the Caribbean with a powerful eugenol content similar to cloves. Eugenol is one of the most studied natural antimicrobial compounds in existence, with proven antibacterial and antifungal effects. Traditional use includes boiling the leaves for respiratory infections, skin infections, and fever. The aromatic steam alone has antimicrobial benefit when inhaled. This is the herb people plant because it smells beautiful, without realizing they're growing a natural disinfectant. Number 22. Aloe vera, the skin infection specialist. Aloe barbadensis, aloe vera, needs no introduction, but what most people still don't fully understand is that the gel contains asamannan and other polysaccharides with genuine antimicrobial properties proven in clinical research. For skin infections, burns, and fungal conditions, fresh aloe gel applied directly is one of the most effective natural treatments available. The Caribbean has been growing aloe in every yard for centuries and using it for exactly these purposes. The plant that people think is just for sunburns is actually a legitimate antimicrobial for wounds and infections that has been trusted in tropical medicine long before modern pharmacology. Number 23. Coconut, the internal and external infection fighter. Cocos nucifera, the coconut palm, is the ultimate symbol of the Caribbean, and virgin coconut oil is one of the most potent natural antifungal and antibacterial substances available. The lauric acid in coconut oil converts in the body to monolaurin, a compound with documented antimicrobial activity against bacteria, viruses, and fungi, including Candida. Traditional Caribbean use of coconut oil for skin infections and fungal conditions is backed by real biochemistry, cooking with virgin coconut oil, applying it topically, using it as a mouth rinse for oral infections. This is medicine that comes in the form of the most abundant fruit in the tropics. Number 24. Amyris, the Caribbean tree with antimicrobacterial secrets. Amyris elemifera, a native Caribbean tree sometimes called white torchwood, produced a compound called texilin that Caribbean researchers found had antimicrobacterial activity against tuberculosis strains in laboratory testing. This is a plant that most people have never heard of outside of scientific circles, but it's native to the Caribbean and its compounds are being studied specifically for drug-resistant bacterial infections. The fact that Caribbean flora is yielding molecules relevant to antibiotic-resistant tuberculosis research tells you everything you need to know about the pharmacological potential hidden in these islands. Number 25. Cedrela, the cedar of the Caribbean rainforest. Cedrela odorata, the Caribbean cedar, has been used in traditional medicine across the region for its antimicrobial properties in treating skin conditions, fevers, and infections. The bark and leaves contain terpenoids and limonoids with documented biological activity. This is the tree that built Caribbean furniture and built Caribbean health. It's been valued for both for centuries, and modern phytochemistry is confirming there's real pharmacological substance behind both traditions. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you just learned something most people will never know. That the Caribbean isn't just one of the most beautiful places on Earth. It's one of the most medically rich ecosystems on the planet. These 25 plants aren't folklore and they aren't superstition. They're traditional knowledge that has been validated, studied, and confirmed by scientists, specifically because the healers who used them were consistently right. So here's what I need from you right now. Drop a comment below and tell me two things. First, which country are you watching from? And second, which plant on this list surprised you the most? Are you Team Soursop and Noni, Team Cerasee and Fever Grass, or did one of the lesser-known ones catch your attention? I read every single comment, and I genuinely love hearing from you. And if you haven't subscribed to Homestead Roots yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, because we post every single week and the next video might be exactly what you or someone you love needs to hear. Remember, sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't the most expensive one. Sometimes it's the tree growing right outside your door.